Houston, you got a problem. So we got this big trade thing going on. And as you see by the title, honestly, I think he's stuck in Houston. Houston has a problem. Deshaun Watson wants out of Houston. But I think Deshaun Watson has the bigger problem. And he's going to be stuck in Houston. Now, to trade for a player like this, I mean, trading for a player like Watson is definitely intriguing. You know, he's a great QB. He's loved by the fans. He's a pillar of his community. Deshaun Watson Foundation. You know, and he's just skilled, you know. He was first in passing yards with 4,823. First in yards per attempt. Second in passer rating with 112.4 passer rating. Third in completion percentage with 70.2%. And here's just these three things that, you know, are just going to really stop Deshaun. You're going to keep Deshaun Watson in Houston. And number one is the price tag. You know, how much is it going to cost for a team to actually get Deshaun Watson out of Houston? You know, you got to do that. That's number one. And then number two is the no trade clause with Deshaun Watson. And obviously we can see he's emotional here. I mean, before he was happy, he was posted tweets 4 or 5 months ago about being in Houston down. He was all down to be in Houston. You know, he was happy to be in Houston. And then now after the end of the season, you know, a bad year, you know, an emotional year. Now he wants out. So, you know, that, you know, going just off of the strength of that, talk about the no trade clause, you know, maybe now maybe last week he wanted to be a Miami Dolphin. Maybe a couple of days from now, he don't want to be. So, you know, maybe one team he wants to be traded to, maybe he don't want to be traded to the next day. So, you know, we could probably see that happen with him. And then the teams that do could probably reach, you know, a good price tag for Deshaun Watson. You know, Deshaun Watson probably wouldn't want to go there. And number three is the contract. And it's not really as complicated as most people believe so, and I'll break that down later. But it's basically a 3-year contract worth $82.54 million for any team that trades for Deshaun Watson. So what are teams really willing to give up for, you know, this man? You know, Deshaun Watson, he's a great player. You know, he has very, very great pros. You know, he definitely could be a team changer. But, you know, like the calling price for him, you know, is reported at 2 first rounds, 2 second rounds, and 2 young defensive starters. I mean, gee, that's a lot. That's a lot. Now, you know, for a player like that, you know, like for a team like the Niners, right? You know, Jimmy G looks suspect in the 49ers down there. And Jimmy G ain't it. So, you know, I'd be looking to send out Jimmy G, that 12th overall, and a D lineman. Any decent D lineman in San Francisco is pretty good. I mean, and they're probably all 4 first rounders too. I mean, even New York, you know, the Jets are close with the 2nd overall. You know, they could send that, maybe send a first rounder from next year. Sam Darnold and C.J. Mosley. You know, Miami would send their 3rd overall and, you know, their 18th or 2021 first overall. 2022 first overall. First rounder, and Xavier Howard. Now, I would absolutely take Deshaun Watson over Tua Tagovailoa, and I believe in Tua Tagovailoa for the right price. But if we're going to give up our 3rd overall, I'm out already. But to get Deshaun Watson and send out the whole package, I can't do it. It don't make sense, especially Xavier Howard. You're tripping. No trade clause. You signed that deal knowingly and acceptingly to be there for a period of time. Really, I think he's emotional right now. I don't really see Deshaun Watson may one day be okay with going to the Cowboys or the Dolphins, and the next day he don't want nothing to do with the Dolphins or Cowboys. He can be wishy-washy on that too. Like, let's not forget, this man signed the contract in like September and now wants to be off the team. Like, he wants to be traded. That's like a flip-flop in a short amount of time. So could he change his opinion about what teams he want to go in that no trade clause? Absolutely. And that will be an issue. The contract. Now, he has a 4-year, $156 million extension that he was extended on September 5th in 2020. Watson and the Texans agreed to that an extension. He still had 2 years in his rookie contract plus his 5th-year option, by the way. So just keep that in mind. He still had his option. He didn't have to. He wasn't pressured. So he wanted to go make that deal. He wanted to stay in Houston on September 5th, 2020 to make that deal. That's what Deshaun Watson type of time he was on. Okay, he wanted to be in Houston on September 5th in 2020. So as we know from that extension, he was fine without DeAndre Hopkins. Signing that deal, that just shows he was fine. Give me that money, I'm fine. So you signed that deal, you was cool. Watson extension included a $27 million signing bonus, which is prorated across 5 years, meaning Watson's signing bonus counts for $5.4 million against the cap every season instead of counting for $27 million, in 2020 season. Because they give him that money. So it's prorated, right? If Watson is traded, the remainder of that prorated money hits the Texans cap space. Got to keep that in mind there too, right? Trading Watson and his contract in 2021 will leave $21.6 million in dead money, which only adds to $5.66 million to Houston's cap space for this season. So it's not critical. Now let's talk about some cons for trading for Deshaun Watson, right? Deshaun Watson is due to earn a fully guaranteed $35 million salary in 2020. However, with the signing bonus cap hit remaining with the Texans, $35 million is all he will count against the cap for the team acquiring him. So whatever team trades for Deshaun Watson in 2022, their cap space automatically is going to be hit at $35 million. In 2023, Watson is due to count for $37 million against the salary cap. And of that money, $20 million of that is his salary, with $17 million as a roster bonus. If he's on the team under this contract on March 22nd in 2022, that money becomes fully guaranteed. Or if he's injured. And here's some pros for trading for Watson. Watson's salary cap charge in 2021 would only be $10.54 million for a team acquiring him. So it was kind of very cheap to go out and trade for Watson today. Teams there's a lot of teams that can make $10.54 million cap space right now. Like even the cap needy space teams could do that. So $10.54 million is good. And then you got a year to work to get, because that next year though, you got that $35 million cap space coming, dropping in on you. But right now, the cap space is only $10.54 million. So that's good. And then the final 2 years of his deal essentially work out as a $32 million team option prior to either 2024 or 2025. Any team could choose on a move from Watson at no cost to themselves in terms of their salary cap. If he does great, they have the option to send him the $32 million. Why not? If he's balling, why not give him the money? That's a great price for a quarterback. I'm telling you, that you don't really find quarterbacks. They're going to get more expensive. So $30 million a year is pretty good for a QB, especially at his caliber, right? And if he's bad, if he didn't live up to that team that traded his expectation, boom, you got the team option. Take him out. You don't need him no more. Let him ride. So that's that option too, right? There's a lot of reports that this man, Deshaun Watson, is going to pull Carson Palmer. Now, some of y'all may not know who Carson Palmer is. Carson Palmer used to be the Cardinals quarterback for the Oakland Raiders, quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, But see, what I mean by pull Carson Palmer is in 2011, Carson Palmer was like, man, I want out of Cincinnati Bengals. He's like, man, I want out, right? He wanted out so bad he was threatening to retire. Like Watson, he didn't feel like since he was all in to winning. So he was upset. Bengals owner Mike Brown said he would not trade Palmer, and he selected Andy Dalton in the 2011 draft, right? So the Bengals grabbed Andy Dalton in the 2011 draft, right? Palmer didn't come to camp and was placed on reserve / did not report list. And he never actually retired, though. That was just his threats, but he never did. But nor did he show up to Cincy. And then he was later on traded to the Oakland Raiders. So there's, talk about, Deshaun Watson pulling in Carson Palmer. And that he's prepared to do it in a couple things. And I'm not saying he won't. I don't really see it because, man, there are mandatory fines that will be triggered at him if he does not appear. You know what I mean? There are also several times that the Texans can request Watson to pay back his portions of his signing bonus. That's also in his contract. So, you got to keep that in mind. Is he willing to give that money back? Now, the only good thing about a trade for Houston, if Houston would trade Deshaun Watson, is Watson is set to cost Houston $15.94 million against the cap in 2021. $5.4 million of that is a prorated signing bonus. The remaining is $10.54 million in Watson's guaranteed salary. So if he was traded, $10.54 million would be transferred to such team. So that would be good for Houston, right? Yeah, cool. But that's like the only good thing. Like that really is, because now you're stuck with having to find a new QB. That's not high good for Houston. And then whatever a team's going to bring them. And I'm telling you this, they're not bringing the asking price. They're not getting truthful. They're not. That asking price ain't happening. That's why this trade ain't happening. If Houston really wants that asking price, then it definitely ain't happening. And then, like I said, you got the Deshaun Watson having the no trade clause. And then the contract. The contract gets a little tricky too, because then teams really got to think about that. Fanatics, football heads, NFL lovers. If you enjoy my content, please hit that subscribe button below.